Hello, my name is Brian Wiedemann. This video is a reflection of the learning I have done over the past 2 years in the Masters of Educational Technology program through Boise State University. Currently, I am in the final 11th course of the program, EdTech 592, where we create a portfolio to represent what we have learned throughout our time in the program. So before we get started, a little more about me. Currently, I live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia with my wife and my 1-year-old daughter. We have spent the last 4 years working at the American International School, Riyadh, where I've been both a high school technology teacher and currently I am the technology systems coordinator for the school. Next year, I've accepted the role of director of technology and I'm looking forward to this move. Before our time in Saudi Arabia, we lived for 3 years in Abu Dhabi, where I worked as a grade 4 teacher and also as a tech integration specialist for grades KG2 through grade 7. And before that, we lived in Seoul, South Korea for 2 years, where we taught ESL. So before we look at a few of the artifacts I've created during my time in the program, I wanted to talk a little bit about why I decided to pursue my master's. As an educator, I believe it's very important to be a lifelong learner, and that way I can connect better with the students in the school. I also wanted to broaden my understanding of content related to technology education. Furthermore, I wanted to learn more about current pedagogy as it relates to technology and education, learn more about instructional design, and also learn more about learning theories that are related to using tech in classrooms. I also wanted to broaden my network. Living in Saudi Arabia, there aren't many other international schools that I can connect with. Having an online community helps me interact with my peers and learn more about what I'm doing. The first artifact I'm going to talk about comes from my EdTech 502 course. I was really excited when I learned about this course because I had previously dabbled in web design. I had gone to websites like Codecademy and had varying degrees of success learning about HTML and CSS and about graphic design. When we started the course and we started learning about Dreamweaver, I was really excited about all the content that I could take back and share with my students who were in my graphic design course that I was teaching in high school. What we learned about design principles and alignment, and also about HTML and CSS really translated well over to that course. The resource that I'd like to talk about tonight is the web quest that I created for my EdTech 502 course. For this project, I created an entire online lesson, which also helped develop my blended learning skills. The lesson begins with an introduction. It shows students the instructions that they need to get started on the task. It also links to the teacher instructions if someone else was to use this lesson, and it also gives a bit of a purpose for why we're doing this lesson. It has some essential questions that students can use to discuss with each other before they get started. The introduction also has some other essential questions that get students to start thinking about color and color theory. Why is Valentine's Day associated with red? Would you feel different about an apple if they were always black? When we move on to the next page, the task is outlined here. I wanted to create an authentic task where students felt like they were actually doing something that a graphic designer might do. Students were to take this picture and then color it in by the end of the lesson. Now that might sound like a simple task, but there's a lot more involved when we start thinking about color theory. As students move through the lesson and they move to the process, there are a collection of online resources that are linked throughout the web where students can go and learn more about color theories and the meaning behind color. And they can even go so far as to learn about how to pair colors by using the Adobe Cooler site. Students can then download the poster and load it into Photoshop and start working with the color palette that they've created to create their design in this authentic task. Once they're finished, it's time to work through the redesign process like a real graphic designer would, and then finally to publish their content on their blog. Once a student has done this, then the project will be evaluated against the rubric that was created. This was a rubric that I used in my class when I taught this project both before the online lesson was developed and after I had worked through EdTech 502 and put it online. Finally, there is a conclusion about the project, and there are other resources if another teacher wanted to use this project with their class. After completing EdTech 502, I not only was more versed in how to use blended learning in the class, but I was also able to go back to the leadership team at my school and pitch a proposal to create our own Intro to Web Design course. I started and taught a one-semester web design course for my last year as a teacher in the school. Since then, as I've moved out of the classroom, I've handed that course off to the other teachers in the high school technology department, and they continue to teach it to our students here. In addition, this year we are redesigning the website that we use at our school, and I am the lead project designer that is working with the web designers to develop our new website. The next artifact I'd like to look at is from my EdTech 554 class. It's the eDossier project that we created throughout the course. This project has been a great aid for me in my current job and will also help me in my future job. This course was all about learning about planning and implementing technology. There are 3 portions of this project that I'd like to highlight to demonstrate my understanding. The first is the Who is on the Move artifact that we created. I was able to interview a teacher who was coming into our one-to-one program at my school. I was able to learn a little bit more about her history as a teacher, her predispositions towards technology, and then I was able to use the CBAM model, or the Concerns-Based Adoption model, to gauge her readiness for implementation into the one-to-one program. At the end of this portion of the project, I was able to create a summary of Miss G's needs and how PD could help her be successful in our one-to-one program. Following the completion of the interview, I was able to move on to the next portion of our project, where I created a professional development plan for our one-to-one iPad implementation in grade 4. With the information that I had garnered from the interview, I was able to create the context for our iPad implementation PD plan. I was also better able to characterize the learners that would be part of this PD plan, talk about where and when the PD would happen, and set some goals for the professional development based on Miss G's needs. By the end, I was able to develop one core lesson that would be taught during the PD session to the grade 4 and grade 6 teachers. These teachers would be new to our one-to-one program this year, as previously it had only been rolled out to 5th grade teachers. I was able to design all the equipment that would be needed, talk about the requirements for the room, and also outline the PD session itself. This session was delivered to our 4th and 6th grade teachers at the beginning of the year. We also looked at an app that could be used by teachers called Nearpod, and a follow-up session was given in more depth about Nearpod during our mini-NESA sessions in October. Another portion of my eDossier deals not only with the people that are involved with technology rollout, but also with the systems that are used. I also created an MDM implementation flowchart. As we were having BYOD from grade 3 through 12, we needed some sort of software in our school that could help us monitor devices and help students stay safe while they were on campus. As we were looking through our different choices here at the school, and I was tasked with the job of selecting an MDM as the Tech Systems Coordinator, I knew I needed a better process to help select and implement that software. We ended up choosing AirWatch, and this is the model that I used after developing it in 554 to implement AirWatch in our school. You can see there's a clear flow of how the software would be picked and then rolled out to the entire campus, including training for our staff and training for our students. It also outlines the overall goal of the project, the possible obstacles that we could have encountered along the way, and the stakeholders who were involved in the implementation. AirWatch has now successfully been deployed to all of our students in grades 4, 5, and 6, and next year it will expand to include our students in grades 3 and 7. The last artifact I'd like to talk about is the PLE diagram and analysis that I created for my EdTech 543 course. For this project, I had to create a visual representation of my professional learning environment. A little background before I go more into my diagram. Before starting my EdTech program, I had very little experience with a PLE. I had a personal Facebook account and I had dabbled in Twitter before, but only on a personal level. After traversing through the EdTech course in EdTech 501 and EdTech 543, my PLE exploded and I had access to all this content and other people professionally that I didn't have before. Now on to my diagram. You can see at the center of my diagram is myself. I am the center of my own professional learning environment. The next level up is the devices that I use to access my PLE each day. My laptop, my tablet, and my phone. On the third level are the different networks that I access to collaborate with my peers and to get and learn about new content. Some of the ones that I use more frequently are Twitter. I have my TweetDeck set up with all my important tags so that I can stay current on all the new content and resources that are available, to follow influential educators, as I met many when I was at the NISA conference in the fall, and also to participate in Twitter chats that I do from time to time. Another network that I'm active in is the Google Plus network. Here I'm a member of many communities, including the iPad Ed community that is run by different directors of technology in the Middle East region, where we share resources and discuss problems that we are facing currently in our schools. The next network that I'm a part of is the WordPress network. I have a blog that I've used in different classes throughout the EdTech program and where I post about my learnings and share resources with other people. The final one that I'd like to talk about, the final network, is Diigo. Here is where I store and curate information and annotate resources that I find on the web. If I come back to my PLE diagram, after all the different networks I have is how I interact with those networks, by posting on Facebook, or by reviewing books on Goodreads, or by creating a blog post on WordPress. And then on the outside of my PLE diagram is the other people in my professional learning environment. Those people who I both worked with professionally or have just interacted with on the web. While expanding my PLE has helped me gain an understanding of a whole bunch of new resources, I have also put it into practice this year. Here at the school, the learning department has created our own hashtag that we use for professional learning, and I've been instrumental in getting that hashtag going throughout the school. For professional learning days, we have used this hashtag to share what we're learning about in our different sessions. Also, I offered 2 different professional learning sessions on professional learning days at our school. One was on setting up and getting going with Twitter, and the other one was on setting up your own professional learning environment. I look forward to doing more in the future in this area. Thank you for taking the time to watch my reflection about my journey in the MET program through Boise State University. There has been lots of learning, from theory in 503 and 504, to creation of content in EdTech 501 and 502, to large-scale planning and implementation in EdTech 505 and 554, to collaborating and growing as a professional in 543 and 537. It truly has been a great learning adventure, but it's also been a great professional adventure for me the past 2 years, as I've moved from being a high school tech teacher into my current role as the technology systems coordinator at my school, and next year as I move forward as being the director of technology at my school. I know I will take all of the learning that I have done and applied it to help improve the lives of all the students that I touch along the way. I hope you enjoy.